Hello, Africa, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Make Africa Great. Madagascar has joined Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Gabon, and Sudan to form a group of 7 African nations suspended by the African Union. Following a recent coup in Madagascar, the African Union says it has suspended Madagascar with immediate effect after a coup saw an allied army unit seize power following President Andry Rajolina's impeachment. The African Union chairperson reaffirmed the union's unwavering stance, respect for constitutional order, and the peaceful resolution of disputes. He condemned any unconstitutional change of governments, argued a coordinated African Union SADC response, and called for a fact-finding mission to guide the AU's next step. The question is, for how long African Union will continue to suspend members? Because I see a growing numbers of suspended members. It was almost 4 countries. Now it is almost 7 countries. And I saw also the sign of revolutions in other countries. I saw sign of revolution in Cameroon, in Cote d'Ivoire. Will also these countries join? So don't you see that if the number is growing, what happens if these countries will decide to form their own organization? Will African Union continue to be powerful? Those are questions that many Africans are asking. And also Africans have been asking one of the critical things that when presidents cling to power for a long time, rig elections, silence their people, and loot their nations dry, African Union says nothing. When terrorism spread in Nigeria, Cameroon, Mali, in Sahel in general, African Union and ECOWAS act blind and deaf. But the moment the people, all soldiers, raise up to remove these, some are calling corrupt systems, African Union suddenly shouts unconstitutional and suspends countries. You see, some countries are suffering. For instance, you saw what happened to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. African Union kept silent to France. Till today, African Union said nothing to U.S. General Langley, who accused Captain Ibrahim Traore for using gold reserve to protect himself. Till today, African Union kept silent to America when America accused South Africa for white genocide. But when people decide to take their own destiny in their hands, African Union says this is unconstitutional changes. So now Madagascar has joined Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Gabon, and Sudan. The number is growing. What if the number will reach 30 something? Do you see the existence of African Union? Oh, this is the division among African Union. Will Madagascar be happy with the decision made by the African Union? Madagascar has friends. What would happen? So I want to hear also from you, my dear lovely family. Is this a right decision for African Union to suspend the members? Because I see at the end of the day, all members will be suspended by the African Union. If African Union don't tell African leaders, whom they call themselves democratic leaders, to serve the people, almost all members will be suspended. I see the wave of changes. Young people right now want economic independence. Young people want accountable government. Young people want changes, want employment. If these leaders, whom they call themselves democratic leaders, are not going to serve well I saw many African countries being suspended from the African Union. And in the near future, African Union will be weak because if these countries, which are suspended by the African Union, decided to come together, and of course I saw many of them are led by military. If these soldiers decided to come together, what do you see in the future? What do you see in the light future? If we are not going to solve the challenges, because these things that is happening, it is not happening accidentally. It is caused by the leaders. Leaders are not serving the people, are looting the people. Leaders are not providing services. So African Union has a duty to tell these political leaders to serve the people. Instead of being busy with suspending members, African Union must make sure that they make leaders accountable. I said, I see also Cameroon in the near future. If President Biya don't accept defeat, if President Biya don't quit and resign, I saw something is going to happen in Cameroon. The same to Cote d'Ivoire. So African Union must tell political leaders to serve the interests of the people. These, whom we call military leaders, are coming to save the people. Look what is happening in Democratic Republic of Congo. People are dying day by day. But African Union said nothing to President Tshisekedi. You know why? I don't know. Why African Union is not making Congo accountable to protect civilians in Congo. The same to South Sudan. So my opinions is not to suspend these countries, is to find the way to avoid these things to happen. And the only way to avoid military coup in the continent of Africa is to make sure that these whom they called democratic leaders to serve the interest of majority, to serve the interest of the people, to provide jobs and services for young people. Right now, there's a wave of changes. Maybe I see in different ways, but maybe I'm wrong. But I see a wave of changes in the continent of Africa. It started slowly, slowly. The way we saw the wave of independence when Africans are awakening and demand independence. That's the way right now it is happening. I saw Africans demanding economic freedom. And if Africans don't get economic freedom, we'll continue to see military coup one in one country to another, slowly, 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 slowly. So the only solution to avoid suspending members is to hold political leaders accountable and to follow constitution. You know, African Union is saying that they need unconstitutional changes. I mean, they are against unconstitutional changes. There's no unconstitutional changes. These leaders stayed in power for too long. They rejected to move out of power. They rejected to serve the interest of the people. That's why the people decided to go to the streets. No one who is busy with their jobs, with their family, can go to the streets. But when people are tired, you can't stop them. Even African Union, the day will come when people will demonstrate and call for the removal of African Union. We are going to see also coup in the African Union if we are not going to serve the interests of the people. So what I urge to my leaders in the African Union, please hold these political leaders accountable. Tell them to serve the interests of the people. People want good Lord, quality education, good health care, food on the table. That's what the people want. Africans are not crazy that they want to go to the street. They want to demonstrate. They want to remove their leaders. No, Africans are not crazy. Africans are good people. We welcome even those who conquered us. Africans are polite people. But when you misbehave to these polite people, this is what is happening. So, families, brothers and sisters, those are just my opinions from what I see. And after the decision made by the African Union of suspending membership of Madagascar, now the country has reached 7 countries. In the near future, we'll have 10. What if 20? That's how things is happening. So, Abdat, my dear lovely family, I'm waiting to hear from you. Here is where I ending my today's or my this video's opinions. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. If you're new in this platform, make sure that you like the video, you share the video, and you subscribe to join a big family of Make Africa Great. We are here not to criticize the decision made by our leaders. We are here to find the best solutions for our challenges, to contribute positive to our mother continent Africa. We want a new Africa that is serving the interest of Africa. This is the Africa that we want. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a significant political event that has sent ripples across the African continent. The African Union's decisive action against Madagascar. Following what has been widely described as a coup, the AU has suspended the island nation with immediate effect. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. It's a powerful statement about democratic principles and constitutional order. So, what exactly happened, and what does this suspension truly mean for Madagascar and the wider region? Let's break it down. The situation escalated rapidly, culminating in a military-backed change of government. This action prompted an emergency session of the African Union's Peace and Security Council. The outcome was swift and unambiguous. In a statement released after their meeting, the Council made its position crystal clear. The AU categorically rejects any and all unconstitutional changes of government. This isn't a new stance, but a firm reaffirmation of a core policy that underpins the entire organization is commitment to stability and democracy. It's a line in the sand that the AU is determined to defend. At the heart of the crisis is the delicate relationship between a nation's government and its military. The AU's statement specifically addressed this, insisting that the armed forces must respect the Constitution and remain apolitical. The military's role, according to the AU, is to protect the nation and its democratic institutions, not to interfere in political processes. This is a fundamental principle for preventing military takeovers, which have historically plagued various regions. By getting involved in the transfer of power, Madagascar's military crossed a line that the continental body could not ignore. The AU is essentially telling the military to return to their barracks and let the political and constitutional processes play out as they should. Now let's talk about the implications of this suspension. It's more than just a symbolic gesture. Being suspended from the African Union means Madagascar is isolated from its continental peers. Its representatives can no longer participate in AU summits, meetings, or decision-making processes. This effectively puts the new leadership in a diplomatic deep freeze within Africa. It cuts them off from crucial political, economic, and security dialogues. For a nation, especially an island nation like Madagascar, this isolation can have severe consequences, impacting everything from trade agreements to regional security cooperation. It's a move designed to apply significant pressure on the new authorities to restore constitutional order. But the African Union isn't stopping at suspension. The Council has issued a stern warning. They've demanded that the military and all other parties involved adhere to the Constitution and democratic norms. If these demands are not met, the AU has made it clear that it will not hesitate to impose specific, targeted penalties. What could these penalties look like? They often include travel bans and asset freezes on the individuals directly involved in the unconstitutional power grab. This means the leaders of the coup, both military and civilian, could find themselves unable to travel within Africa and have their personal finances frozen. This escalates the pressure from a national level to a personal one, aiming to make it untenable for them to hold on to power. So why is the African Union taking such a hard line? It's about precedent. The organization has been working for years to shed the continent's reputation for instability and coups. Allowing one unconstitutional change of government to stand without consequence could create a domino effect, encouraging similar actions elsewhere. By acting decisively against Madagascar, the AU is sending a powerful message to any other group, military or otherwise, that might be considering a similar path. The message is simple. Unconstitutional power grabs will not be tolerated and will be met with swift and unified opposition from the entire continent. This is the AU's zero-tolerance policy in action. The situation in Madagascar is, of course, complex, with its own internal political dynamics that led to this point. Public dissatisfaction and political rivalries often create a fertile ground for such dramatic events. However, from the perspective of international and regional bodies like the African Union, the method of change is just as important as the reasons behind it. The ballot box, not the bullet or the bayonet, is the accepted mechanism for transferring power in a democracy. The AU's intervention is aimed at upholding this principle above all else, ensuring that the will of the people, expressed through constitutional means, is what ultimately prevails. What happens next is the crucial question. The ball is now in the court of the new authorities in Antananarivo, Madagascar's capital. Will they heed the AU's warnings and work towards a swift return to constitutional order? Or will they defy the continental body and risk deeper isolation and personal sanctions? The international community, including the United Nations and other global powers, will be watching the AU's handling of this crisis very closely. A successful resolution could bolster the AU's credibility as a guardian of peace and democracy on the continent. Failure could undermine its authority and embolden anti-democratic forces. For the people of Madagascar, this is a period of profound uncertainty. Political instability inevitably affects daily life, the economy, and the future prospects of the nation. The hope is that this external pressure from the African Union will help steer the country back towards a peaceful and democratic path, preventing a prolonged crisis. It's a test of resilience for Madagascar's institutions and its people, as well as a major test for the African Union's framework for peace and security. We will continue to follow this story as it develops and bring you updates on this critical situation. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this important topic. Understanding these geopolitical events helps us see the bigger picture of how our world is governed and the principles nations strive to uphold. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into global affairs. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.